Qin Hao wakes up in a famine-stricken ancient world and immediately discovers that the body he has inherited belonged to a terrible man. The former Qin Hao was a gambler and a worthless husband who had become obsessed with Widow Wang. In order to obtain food and satisfy his debts, he was even prepared to sell his 5 sisters-in-law to Black Wind Fort. The women are desperate. With famine spreading everywhere, even tree bark is being eaten, and they believe there is almost no chance of surviving the year. One of them threatens to die rather than be sold. Another begs Qin Hao not to trade her away. They discuss gathering wild vegetables or begging, but none of those options offers much hope. Qin Hao realizes that he cannot allow the women to suffer the same fate again. He firmly declares that he will never sell them, will cut ties with Widow Wang, and will make sure the 5 women have enough food and a decent life. He even swears that if he breaks his promise, heaven may punish him. His declaration triggers something unexpected. A mysterious system appears. The system recognizes that Qin Hao has genuinely resolved to change. Because the 5 people around him are shocked by his transformation, he receives a beginner reward and gains access to the shock system. The system explains that Qin Hao can earn shock points by doing things that astonish people. The more people he shocks, and the greater their astonishment, the more points he receives. Those points can then be exchanged for useful items and abilities. His first major ability is Void Eye, which allows him to see things within a considerable distance. He also receives telekinesis, allowing him to retrieve relatively light objects from within the ability's range. Qin Hao immediately decides to test the system. He uses his new powers to obtain rabbits from the mountains without needing ordinary hunting equipment. He returns home carrying fresh meat, leaving the 5 women completely stunned. They cannot understand how a man living through a famine could suddenly produce 2 fat rabbits. They assume Qin Hao may have borrowed money from Widow Wang or gotten himself into another gambling scheme. After all, the previous Qin Hao had repeatedly lied to them. But Qin Hao insists that he personally obtained the rabbits and has nothing to do with Widow Wang. He promises again that he will never gamble or sell any of them. The women remain skeptical, but the delicious food begins to weaken their distrust. Qin Hao cooks the rabbits himself, revealing cooking skills that the original owner of the body never possessed. The women are astonished by how delicious the meat tastes. For the first time, they begin to wonder whether their brother-in-law has truly changed. Qin Hao then uses the system to obtain 5 sets of high-quality cotton clothing. The sudden appearance of beautiful new clothes shocks the women even more. They have lived in poverty for so long that even new clothing seems like an extravagant luxury. They worry about wasting precious resources when the family barely has enough grain. Qin Hao reassures them that he has his own savings and that they do not need to worry. More importantly, he tells them that they deserve to live better. Slowly, their opinion of him changes. However, the situation becomes dangerous when Widow Wang and the people of Black Wind Fort arrive. They claim that Qin Hao has already agreed to sell the women. 2 of the sisters are supposedly promised as wives to the leader of Black Wind Fort, Zhao Heihu. The new clothes, they say, were purchased specifically so the women would look presentable when the bandits came to collect them.
The women are devastated. Despite Qin Hao's promises, they initially believe that he has betrayed them again. Qin Hao desperately tries to explain that the whole thing is a trap arranged by Widow Wang and Zhao Heihu, but the women are furious and refuse to listen. Realizing that words alone may not be enough, Qin Hao turns to the system's weapons. He prepares to defend his family. Meanwhile, Zhao Heihu and his men arrive to take the women by force. The sisters refuse to go willingly, but the bandits overpower them and begin threatening and humiliating them. Qin Hao uses the Void Eye to discover that his family is in immediate danger. The system responds to his desperate demand for a powerful means of transportation and weapons. Qin Hao exchanges shock points for modern equipment, including an off-road military vehicle, protective clothing, sunglasses, and powerful firearms. He rushes to rescue the women. When Qin Hao arrives, the bandits are shocked by his strange appearance and unfamiliar weapons. They have never seen anything like them and assume that he possesses terrifying supernatural powers. Qin Hao gives them a final warning. They attack anyway. Qin Hao responds with overwhelming force. His modern weapons appear to the ancient bandits like magical artifacts, capable of producing thunder and death from a distance. The terrified bandits immediately realize that they are completely outmatched. The system records their enormous shock and awards Qin Hao a large number of shock points. The surviving criminals beg for mercy, but Qin Hao refuses to forget how they treated his family. Zhao Heihu tries to intimidate him by revealing that Black Wind Fort is backed by Governor Wang, a powerful official. Qin Hao is not impressed. He declares that Zhao Heihu has committed countless crimes through murder, robbery, and cooperation with corrupt officials. Qin Hao decides that the bandit leader must die. Zhao Heihu is defeated, and his men are dealt with as well. Widow Wang also begs Qin Hao for mercy. She tries to win him back, promising to serve him and claiming that she had always cared for him. Qin Hao refuses. He spares her life, but orders her to leave and never return. Afterward, the 5 sisters-in-law finally understand that Qin Hao really has changed. He admits that the previous owner of the body committed many terrible acts and says that the former Qin Hao is essentially dead. From now on, he promises to protect them with his life and never allow them to suffer again. The women believe him. Their relationship with him changes completely. Instead of seeing Qin Hao as the useless gambler who once intended to sell them, they now see him as the person who saved their lives. They even begin discussing the possibility of staying with him permanently and building a real family together. Qin Hao celebrates their newfound trust by using the system to obtain an enormous roasted-up suckling pig. The women are astonished by its size and cannot believe that such an useless gambler. Women believe him. Their relationship with him changes completely. Instead of seeing Qin Hao as the useless gambler who once intended to sell them, they now see him as the person who saved their lives. They even begin discussing the possibility of staying with him permanently and building a real family together. Qin Hao celebrates their newfound trust by using the system to obtain an enormous roasted-up suckling pig. The women are astonished by its size and cannot believe that such an extravagant meal is actually theirs. For a family that previously struggled to find even wild vegetables, eating such a feast feels almost unbelievable. Qin Hao realizes that Black Wind Fort remains a threat. Zhao Heihu is dead, but other bandits survived, including Yu Qing. Qin Hao decides that waiting for another attack would be foolish. Instead, he will strike first. Using the system, he obtains a Qian cone storage bag, which allows him to store and retrieve large objects despite its small physical size. This makes transporting his modern equipment and other supplies much easier. Qin Hao then raids Black Wind Fort. He discovers that the bandits have accumulated enormous quantities of wealth